All right, number 5 is a clip of ex-New York Knicks coach Jeff Van Gundy getting dragged around on the floor on Alonzo Mourning's leg. And the Van Gundys are hilarious. There's Jeff Van Gundy, who used to coach the Knicks, and then Stan Van Gundy, who coached the Pistons, who just is like a fat piece of shit potato guy. But he's just the funniest. They're the funniest looking coaches to me. Jeff Van Gundy and Stan Van Gundy, because Stan Van Gundy looks like a full pedophile, and Jeff Van Gundy is like the poster boy for being bald. Like, he's just that guy. He's got the bald look with the sideburns on the side. It's like, dude, just shave it, but it's his look. And I got to be honest with you, Jeff Van Gundy, in my opinion, is the funniest sports commentator I've ever heard in my life. He just goes at the players, and he just starts talking shit. He has like full nervous breakdowns while he's broadcasting games, and I love him. And I feel like before he started broadcasting, like, we should have known like what a treasure he was going to be, because the way he ran out in this sports fight in the 1998 playoffs with the New York Knicks versus the Miami Heat and tries to break up a fight. It's like, dude, you're a 5'7" white guy with diabetes. Why are you trying to break up a fight between humongous NBA athletes who will beat the shit out of you? And this is what happens. I cannot believe that there's footage of you getting dragged around on another man's leg. I mean, you look like me hanging onto my girl's leg when she's trying to look through my phone. Hit me on Snapchat, CDTV. All right, this is number 4. This is a Kansas City Royals, Chicago White Sox game, I think from the late 90s or early 2000s, where literally fans jump out onto the field and start beating the shit out of the first base coach. And this is why you don't do meth, kids. So the first base coach is getting beat up and he's getting stabbed and he's got a big welt on his head. And then his team comes out to try to help him, but inadvertently pile on top of him. And probably the only injuries he sustained was from his teammates coming out and trying to help him, trying to help the melee. Because, I mean, what do you think? These 2 skinny bath salt crystal meth heads are going to hurt you? I mean, what were they doing? I don't know what they were doing. They probably thought he was a human hot dog. Oh, my God. Could you imagine just... And you know what? They're such pussies, too. They came and hit him from the back. At least fight the first base coach face-to-face. Pussies. But this is what happens, dude. It's just pretty boring in Kansas City. That's really what this comes down to. It's like, actually, these guys didn't even get arrested, because for Kansas City, they're like, you know what? Nothing really happens here. So although you almost killed the coach, it was a spectacle, and it was finally worth the ticket price. This jacket's wild. When I wear this jacket, I feel like I'm wearing a neck brace. It's pretty nuts. This is a fitting jacket to wear for this top 5, because this is body slam proof. Try to walk up to me in the streets and body slam me, and I will bounce right off the pavement because I have so much protection, and I'll punch you right in the throat. Okay, so here's my number 3 moment. This is Jim Rome interviewing Jim Everett, who he keeps calling Chris Everett, who is a female tennis champion. So Jim Rome, it's actually pretty funny what he's doing, because he keeps calling Jim Everett, who is a big-time NFL player, he keeps calling him Chris Everett, who's a women's tennis player. So he's doing it constantly, and I guess Jim Rome just thinks that Jim Everett won't punch him in the face, and Jim thought wrong.
Along the way, Jim, you ceased being Jim.
Look at this.
Became Chris.
So let me tell you a little secret.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jim Everett was an NFL field goal kicker. Jim Everett was an NFL field goal kicker, and he keeps calling him Chris Everett, who's a women's tennis player.
But, you know, we're sitting here right now, and if you guys want to take a
look at this.
break, you can. But if
Look
you
at Jim
call me
Everett right now.
Chris Everett to my face one more time.
Jim Everett, Jim Rome. But by the way, Jim Rome was known for doing stuff like this. It's actually a smart move by Jim Rome, because I think his ratings went through the roof after this, because this was front page news. It was like, who's Jim Rome? And it's like, oh, is that the guy that got punched in the face by Jim Everett? Yes. And then he actually got a show on ESPN after this. Yeah, Talk To. This was Jim Everett. He said, don't call me Chris Everett. And then, listen, Jim Everett gives Jim Rome a chance. He says, call me Chris Everett one more time. And I got to hand to him, even though Jim Rome is just a fucking little snake bitch of a guy, he does grow a set of balls and call Chris Everett Jim Everett and call Jim Everett Chris Everett right to his face. So in a way, it's kind of like, I respect Jim Rome, because you got to have a lot of balls to walk up to an NFL player and call him a female women's tennis player, even if that male player was a field goal kicker. Because I think that's what he thought. I think Jim Rome thought, you know what, I can talk shit to Jim Everett because he's just a field goal kicker. He's not a real NFL player. But he thought wrong, and he got punched in the face as long as he didn't get kicked in the face by the field goal kicker. Also, shout out Chris Everett. This whole time I thought you were a lesbian, but then I Googled you, and you're married with kids, so shout out you. Okay, so here's number 2. This is Malice at the Palace. This is the Detroit Pistons versus the Indiana Pacers. And I remember watching this game live because I was in the living room and my mother was making tortellini and Texas toast garlic bread on Ridgewood white Queens trash. And I remember I started screaming at the TV. I was like, oh, come on. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And my mother's like, Christopher, I'm making the tortellini. I've been working all day. It takes a while for the water to boil. And I was like, no, Mom, Ron Artest jumped into the stands. She was like, what? And then I just continued to watch this game. Could you imagine being like a 45-year-old guy trying to get away from your wife and kids for a couple hours, going to watch the Pistons game, and then you get punched in the face by Ron Artest? It's got to be unbelievable, dude. It's a good story for work the next day. If this ever happened to me, just for the story, I would absolutely just try to defend myself. I'd either do one of two things. I'd either try to grab his dick as he's coming towards me to just stop him dead in his tracks, or I'd bend over and I'd stick my finger right up my butt and yell at him, I got poop on my finger, and if he wants to come any closer, it's at his own risk because I'll give him pink eye right now. And then while I was yelling at the TV and my mom was yelling at me about the tortellini and the garlic bread, Larry, my dog, rest in peace, Larry, he started barking at the TV, and that's when I knew Larry was racist. So what happened is the Pistons and Pacers are playing these two teams, very, very tough, tenacious teams, always had great games, and I think somebody threw a cup of water at Ron Artest for some stupid reason, because Ron Artest, who now has changed his name to Metta World Peace, has documented mental health conditions. So why would you want to piss off a 6'8" guy who's jacked, naturally jacked, who's a current NBA player with mental health issues? Why would you throw a cup of water at him? It's like you deserve to get punched in the face. And then he jumped in and started hitting people. And then Steven Jackson, who actually is related, or Steven Jackson is either related to or knew George Floyd very well, he jumps into the stands also and starts fighting, and they both got suspended for the whole season. And then this is when Ron Artest really started to go crazy, and then he soon after this changes his name to Metta World Peace, and then I think he wound up on the Lakers and may have won a championship. But this was one of the wildest things to ever happen in an NBA basketball game, and it's like the announcers are crying, like, this is such a sad day for sports history. It's like, shut up, okay? The games get a little repetitive and boring sometimes. Sometimes you need to spice it up a little bit and jump into the stands and knock one of these fucking fans out. I'm being honest with you. I think NBA players are the wrong athletes to pick a fight with. If you're going to pick a fight with any group of athletes, I would say it's got to be baseball players. Because listen, as long as they don't have the bat in their hands, most of them are just like overweight, slow. They all have dad bods. It's like, they don't do anything, especially a relief pitcher. I'm looking into the camera right now, and if you know any relief pitchers, tell them I said this. I will beat the shit out of any Major League Baseball relief pitcher that's currently playing baseball right now. I want to have a boxing match with them. If Logan Paul turns me down, I'll fight anybody in the bullpen on any Major League Baseball team. So come at me, bro, if you're a relief pitcher, you pussy. Okay, so this is my number one sports moment. This is another one I was watching live with my father. This is near and dear to my heart. I'm a huge New York Yankees fan, and they were playing the hated Red Sox. And this is when there was a brawl. Pedro Martinez threw high at somebody. I think he hit Kareem Garcia with a pitch, and then Kareem Garcia slid hard into third base and was called out, and then it causes this big melee, and basically pretty much the fight, the bench is clear, and Don Zimmer, 72-year-old bench coach from the New York Yankees, runs towards Pedro Martinez, the most hated pitcher on the Boston Red Sox, and maybe most hated opponent of the New York Yankees in New York Yankees history, and he makes a beeline for Pedro Martinez, and Pedro Martinez grabs him by his fat melon head and throws him directly onto the field and slams his head right off the grass. So it's fucked up because I'm a huge Yankees fan and you hate to see Don Zimmer get body slammed, but it's like, dude, you're 72 years old. What are you doing? You're going to blow a hip out, and then you're running at a professional baseball player who hates you, and he slammed him onto the ground. And listen, to me, it's a hate crime. I don't know why he wasn't charged with a hate crime for this, because, I mean, what are you doing, Pedro Martinez? I mean, the guy's 72 years old. You didn't have to do that. You could have done anything, man. You could have turned your cell phone on and would have short-circuited his pacemaker. You didn't have to body slam his head like this. You could have turned off his life alert. Just let him run right past you. He's going to go take a nap anyway. If you just moved out of the way, if Pedro Martinez just moved out of the way, like a bull, like a matador, and Don Zimmer just kept running. It's not like he can just stop. He's 72 years old. He's got to stop. He's got to slow down. Then he's got to take a bunch of breaths. He's got to have a seat. He's got to drink and insure. He's got to do all these things. Why did you have to body slam his melon head off the grass? Even though, again, I hate you for doing it, but I remember laughing out loud when it happened because I knew Don Zimmer would be okay, obviously, and you hate to see somebody get hurt like that, but it's like, hey, man, it's baseball. You want to run out onto the field at a player? I don't care who you are, you're going to get body slammed. They started asking, because, when melee is ensuing and there's a brawl, you don't know what happened. You don't know what happened, where, to who. So it's one of the players, one of the Yankee coaches or the umpires asking Don Zimmer, he's like, who did this to you? And he just goes, Pedro. I mean, think about the rules. Think about the rules we're going through in 2021 right now. I mean, you'll get 3 years in jail if you don't put a mask on. This guy body slammed a 72-year-old guy onto the grass. He didn't even get expelled from the game. Nobody got thrown out of the game. Everybody just kept playing like that didn't happen. Like somebody didn't just actively try to kill your grandpa. They just kept playing baseball. How wild is that? I want to go back in time. I fucking hate the new world. All right, so those are my top 5 sports fights, some Christy sports fights. If you like these things, please subscribe. Tell your friends. Every Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, youtube.com/Christy Comedy. Really, really helps out. What are your favorite sports moments? Also, write in the comments, what do you want to see? What kind of top 5s do you want to see? If you like stand-up, I'm doing stand-up all over the country, ChrisDComedy.com. Check out all my dates. Follow me on Instagram, @ChrisDComedy, and Twitter, @ChrisDComedy. What can you do? I may be hiring someone to run my social media accounts because it's slowly taking over my life. What's up? It's Christy Stand-Ups. Listen, February 12th, 13th, Valentine's Day weekend, I'll be doing Atlantic City, New Jersey, the Celebrity Theater. Then February 25th to the 27th, hot, Phoenix, Arizona, House of Comedy. Then just added March 6th, The Vogel, Red Bank, New Jersey. We just added 2 shows there. Go get them. The tickets sold out real quick last time. Go to ChrisDComedy.com for tickets. That's ChrisDComedy.com for tickets. I'm Christy Stand-Ups. Let's have some fun.